When we think of entrepreneurship, we think of business, we think of new ideas, new beginnings, don't you? It's like these new ideas in business, how to make money, and spirituality. Most people think they're the antithesis of each other. How can you have entrepreneurship and spirituality? I think it's the only way to do business. It's the only successful way. And I watched this with my father. I watched it. He did business that way. People always tell me throughout my life, oh, if you're honest, you can't make money. And my father was the most honest person in the world. And whatever he made, always had that secret of not being afraid to give, not being afraid to share. And this is what I learned from him, that you can do business. And when you work for the good of others, when you really work for the good of others, the gods make sure you're looked after. They really do. And I've watched this all my life. So it was really nice to tell people, you're absolutely wrong. And in my life, I've seen, because this is a question that comes to me all over the world, Oh, and people who do horrible things, they make so much money. Why is it's unfair? It's not right. How come they're rich when people who are so good aren't? And yes, they may be rich in material. I too have met a lot of people, and you think they're happy. I see many of them with tortured minds. They're tortured. They're always fearful of losing their money. And then when they have it, they overspend it in the wrong way. So they really squander a lot of it. They don't use it to serve, to give, to love, and to share with others in need. Instead, it's all selfish. My family, my house, my pleasure, my pleasure. And I've met so many of these, and I really don't see them happy. And so much now that I've been doing this work for like 25 years, what I have noticed is, yes, the early years, they have everything they want. The later years, all the illnesses that they have to face in their life, all the money that they earn badly has gone off in doctor's bills. Honestly, I've seen that. Gone off in doctor's bills and gone off with, people no longer trust them as they get older. Because when people are greedy, and we can see this in the world today, what is happening with the credit crunch, what has happened to our world? Corporations, banks, sorry, this is the truth. Big, huge bonuses. Somewhere somebody's going to suffer. And who suffers? The rest of the nation. And it is really lovely and exciting to be living in an age where a lot of people are waking up to the fact that we don't need to do business like this anymore. And it doesn't work anymore, because ultimately, as you sow, you reap. And ultimately, all these people are caught up on. Sooner or later, it is happening very quickly now. I see it happening faster than it's ever happened. Why? Because the universe is changing, and always before a new dawn, there is always the dark night. Always before the calm, there is a great storm. Always before a change, there is a revolution. And when we go through that revolution, there's a lot of suffering. And this is the spirituality. For those who are spiritual and love the spirit, don't fall off your steadiness and peace. This is how you get through the storm. This is how you get through the crisis. Keep your faith, have trust in yourself, and use entrepreneurship. Think smart, adapt. All the yogic views and values. Adapt, adjust, and accommodate. If you were charging 70 euros for a session, charge 30. Better to have many than none. Even charge 20, even charge 10. Better to have something than nothing. Drop your ego. This is the time for people to learn that their talents should be shared. This is a time of suffering for many, many people. What a good time to serve. What a good time to love. What a good time. Okay, you're broke, you can't do much with your life. Go give some time to charity. Better than sitting at home and, I can't afford this, I can't pay the next bill. You can do something, you can do something. Ula, which place needs help? Do the mental home need help? Ula, do the animals, do they need to be taken for a walk? You know, I always believe people should do service in their own country. Ula mentioned Portugal. This is only Portugal, but SIS is all over the world now. I mean, quite a lot of places. And wherever I go now, I say, use it for your own country. You know, wherever I talk, if I talk in the south, like we did in Algarve, use it for your own center. You need money, use it for your own center. We're very happy to give it away. But you know what? I'm the richest person I know. And I don't know how that happens, you know. I travel and look, I told Ula this morning, she goes, you know, Nalanie, we should look after you now, you know. And I go, you know what? Look, I'm a princess. I come here and I'm treated like a princess. You buy me my massage, you do this, you do that. How lucky am I? Do you know what I'm saying? There is a law of compensation. Fear stops entrepreneurship. Many, many people I have learned have great ideas. They come to my office. Nothing, you know, the old job is no longer working. And I'll give you two cases that I had a few years ago. One was a student, and he used to come the whole last year, you know, to yoga. And he started making changes in himself. One just came to see me because he was totally broken and depressed. The one who was made redundant, who came to see me, made an appointment through Shanti to see me, this is a few years ago, came to me and said, oh, Nalanie, I made an appointment to tell you that I've been made redundant. And he looked at me like this laughing, you know, and I said, I like your attitude. You're the first person I have heard, you know, worked with the financial services, that come to me to tell me that it is good news to become redundant. You know, nobody's ever done that to me except me. You know, I've done it when I left my job and had nothing. I was really very happy. How exciting is a new beginning. And then I heard this voice saying that. And then I said, but tell me, what do you know, you still have children, you still have, how do you plan to make a living? And he answered me, you know, all my life, he must have been about 53, 54 at that time, maybe younger. He said, all my life, I've wanted to do something for the world. And because of my financial business, I'm busy. I work like from 8 to 8, and then my family and my children, and I've never had the opportunity. And now, after this year, I've realized there's so much more I can do with my life. I'm smart. I have a lot of knowledge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a little office with somebody else, and I'm going to go self-employed. But I will work with a big company, but freelanced. So they may give me my office. I hope this will happen. And at the same time, a small salary to do their work, and then I can do my own business. And then, you know what? I become my own person. I don't have to work very long hours, and I can do my charity. He was so excited. Because he was so excited and didn't complain, do you know what? The law of nature. He went to this person who he knew, said, look, will you give me a little part in your office? And he said, you wouldn't believe it. I'm looking, because this man was a commissioner of oaths, right? I'm looking for a commissioner of oaths, somebody who can check the companies that come in. I'll give you a salary every month, quite a good one, if you just do my work and you can do your own work. So he comes back to me, calls me up the next day and says, you wouldn't believe I got everything I want. And I said, because what happened? You didn't fight with God. You didn't fight with nature. You didn't blame anybody. You took a bad situation and you turned it on its head. And of course, as you think is the law of spirituality, you become. Yes. See, there was no doubt. There was no fear, which is a big word. There was just excitement. Now, many years ago, when I was 14, I think I might have told you this story before, but I'll tell it again. My father had, from nothing had built up lots of business, and this was during the Vietnam War. And because he did tailoring for American soldiers, their uniform, and he had built up a business of many, many shops in Vietnam. And, after many hard years of working, we moved into a big house. My whole family was very happy. And suddenly, overnight, all the shops were bombed. And he had to leave Vietnam. And I remember coming home from school and walking in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My father never came home at 4. Talking to my mom, and I was listening. He says, Chandra, my mom's name was Chandra. Chandra, we've lost everything. We have lost everything. But don't worry. I started from nothing, and we got all this. So we're just going back to where we started. We can start again. And I heard my mother say, darling, because my father, in the Indian tradition, once you make money, look at how wonderful it is. Women, it's really nice, and men learn. They said you should always buy jewelry for your wife. It's lucky. This is the Indian tradition. What I'm wearing is from Dad. He even gave to our daughters and his daughters and everything. Everything any jewelry I have is from my family. And so this is what, is. And he said, and my mom answered, you know what, all these diamonds you've bought me and jewelry over the years when you were doing well, you can have them. And my aunt as well, because my father worked with his brothers. The 2 sister-in-laws got together, got all of their jewelry, and said, you take it back, and you sell it, and you start again. But the gods were kind, because they accepted the situation. Partners, both of them, didn't argue, they just accepted it. What happened? My uncle, a few days later, got an opportunity to buy this plot of land really cheap. And they had some savings. And they all risked their savings to buy this land. And this land, at that time there were riots in Hong Kong and nobody wanted to buy land. Now is worth billions. And they built a hotel because all the banks would lend them the money because the land became so. And from there they turned from tailors to hoteliers. So who would have thought? Do you know who would have thought? But I never forget my father's words. Darling, we had nothing. Why are you worried? We can start again. New beginnings. And now, on the other hand, I have seen people when they go through bad periods in their life, the storm. Why has this happened to me? Poor me. What am I going to do? They start to panic. They start to panic. And many of them come to me shaking. I have no money. How am I going to feed my family? I go, you're smart. Maybe you can't make millions, if it's a man. I go, but you know how to clean cars and fix engines. What do you know how to do? I'm sure you can call a good friend who has money. But you have to watch your ego. You can't be proud. This is a point in your life where you really cannot be proud. And this is where the Spirit comes in again. What is there to be proud of? What is there to fear? What is there to worry about? One day, this is where the Spirit comes to entrepreneurship. Know that we are all going to die. We can keep nothing. What do you fear? What have you lost that you didn't have in the first place? We came naked to this earth, and we're going to go back with even leaving our body behind. So, so what are you fearing? What is the worst that can happen? Go on social welfare? That's not too bad. Speak to the people in the poor countries we work in. They have no social welfare? How do they manage laughing, these children in Nepal and India and Africa, from day to day to day? What feeds them? Who feeds them? How does it happen? Yes, many die, but many die here with cancer and stress and heart attacks as well. I think, sometimes I wonder which is the bigger of two evils. Die joyfully or die this way? Which is better, which is worse? I don't know anymore. But what I do know, that when we work with the Spirit and when we work with acceptance, because of what is spirituality? For me, it is love. It is living every second, good or bad, to the best we can. And then you be patient. If things are bad, ride the storm. Just ride the storm. That's the hard part. That's the part. We call it tapas in Sanskrit language. It means you accept suffering. You accept it for, you know that suffering comes to everybody. And this is the time in your life when you are suffering. But know that this too shall pass. And know that this suffering is going to make you richer later. It will. It will. When you accept, the suffering is quicker. I always tell people, what you resist will persist. It will persist. If you resist suffering, it'll go on for longer. If you accept, okay, I'm going through a really bad time, I'm not going to blame this one, that one, this one, that one, because the first thing we do is blame everybody. So, your fault that this happened to me, and then we become miserable. While you're blaming, nothing can happen. Okay, this has happened to me. This is my karma. I must have sown something somewhere in some past life to reap this. Now, rather than grumble and complain, what can I do with it? What can I do with it? Answer is find a solution. Now, while you're emotionally agitated, you cannot find a solution. No solution comes. Because why? Even if it comes, you're so busy being angry, upset, and fearful, you will not recognize it. You will not recognize it. Because your mind is fixed on the problem has to be fixed this way. But if your mind is open, and it doesn't have, the solution doesn't have to be this one solution, it can be any solution, then your mind becomes open. And if there's no anger, you know what happens to you when you're angry. All of you in this room know this. You're stuck on the anger, aren't you? All day long. And it's like a sink, a force, the water goes in, but if it's stuck, the water can't go through. And then you get all kinds of problems and blockages. The same happens to our body. When when we're stuck with anger, our body becomes, the mind becomes stuck. So even if a diamond comes your way, you won't see it. You won't see it. You'll miss it because you're so busy looking at it's stuck, it's stuck, it's stuck. Go and get, what do you call one of those things? Plungers. Plunge it out. Unstick yourself. There's nobody else to unstick. You can scream at the world. You can scream at God. You can scream at nature. You can scream at your boss. You can scream, scream, scream. Guess what will happen? You will get sick. And you'll be miserable. And your whole family will be miserable. And what's the point? The little life we all have, and it's little, it's short. For us, getting near 60s or 70s, you would tell you, we still feel 18 inside, I wish I had the wisdom when I was 20. I wouldn't waste a moment of my life worrying. I just find solutions and live in joy. We had a retreat, right, Shakti, in Portugal now, and it was called Learn, Love, and Love. Learn, love, love. Spirituality is not about sitting here. And then my mind's going, da, 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 da. This is happening, this is happening. What's the point? When you do and when you meditate, is to be recharge your battery power. That's why we do it, to charge. So we have to train our mind to go in the right direction when we meditate. But if your mind is so disturbed and you sit down, you cannot meditate. So I always tell people at that point, use positive affirmations. This is the first step. Bring in the mind, think good, the solution is coming, it's coming, I don't know where from, then you get excited. You inspire yourself. And of course, those energies, those atoms, like attracts like, because it's really a science. It's a science that's being proven every single day now by scientists. So you're sending those atoms out, saying, I know this too will pass. I know it will pass. I'm finding it difficult at the moment. I am suffering at the moment, but it will pass. So in your mind, what do you see? Pictures of yourself smiling, you see yourself laughing. I can't do much more. What I do know is if I get too depressed, I've lost everything. So better to train myself. This is a time for study, spiritual study. Take your books, go anywhere where people can make you laugh. That is spirituality, laughter. I told this story in the Algarve, and I'm going to tell you now. There was this disciple who went to Buddha. And he said to Buddha, "Oh, Buddha, I want enlightenment, I want enlightenment. How many hours do I have to meditate a day to get enlightenment?" And he goes, "If you meditate 4 hours every day, in 4 years, you will be enlightened." Oh, he was so happy, he was excited, inspired. Oh my God, 4 hours every day, that's all, how easy. And if you're a meditator like me, 4 hours is easy. It really is easy, you get really excited. And then he went home and he thought, what if I do 8 hours every day? So he went back to Buddha. And he gets really excited. Buddha, you say if I do 4 hours every day, it'll take me 4 years. What if I do 8 hours every day? He's thinking, surely he's going to say 2 years, right? Half the portion. And he goes, oh, it'll take you 20 years. And he goes, why? He said, because you'll be so busy meditating, you won't be living. You won't be sharing what you have learned. What is the point? What is spiritual knowledge? First and foremost, all the traditions tell us that we're all one. We're one family. We're one soul. We come from the same source. Even science says, Big Bang, and everything split out. Even science tells us we came from that one thing. Everything is consciousness. Right? So we all know that we are one, but we don't really know we are one. So spirituality is learning that we are all one. So really, if something negative happens to us, it's not because that person or that situation really wants to hurt us. It is because that negative is pushing us to look at another way of being. What is the point of living in this world, any of us, if we can't laugh, if we can't love, if we can't forgive, if we can't hold hands, if we can't go through this world, it will be hell. And didn't you hear her sing the Our Father? I did from the room. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom come. Where? Where does it come? Here, right? Here. On earth as it is in heaven. Where's your clue there? The heaven and hell are on this earth. Heaven and hell are on this world. My master told me that. My father told me that in his dying bed. He said, darling, don't think there's any hell there. There is no hell. All, when we leave, all one. Here is heaven and hell. Learn, like your guru said, to make your life a heaven. It is up to you by your thoughts. It's our choice. We can't change much more. We can't change what's happening outside of us, can you? When something is bad, is bad, is bad, is bad. You can't change anybody, try as you might. You can try, and I think all of us know that one really well. So well. Why don't they change? Why don't they change? We struggle for 20 years hoping our partners, our male, female, whatever it is, will change. Hope forever. Why not just accept them for who they are? And that's the change. Acceptance. You have to change. And when you, the odd thing about acceptance, and I've seen this again and again and again, you accept and you just carry on building yourself up, your energy up. You start building your spiritual energy up. In the beginning, you may get a lot of negative energy from the other person. Don't worry about it. You just cover yourself with mantras, with, stay strong in you. Get strong, firmly engrossed in your spirit. Eventually, that person has to change in your energy field. Why? Scientifically. Atoms have a charge. They have a charge. Our cells. And when you are in positive energy, whether you like it or not, is contagious. The same as negative energy. When you're in negative energy, whether you like it or not, you will drown in it. So you have to protect yourself. And protection means, in the beginning, when you first learn to protect yourself spiritually to stay strong, in the beginning, the practice is staying away from that which makes you think bad or negative. Shankaracharya, the great 6th century Indian saint, said, stay away from bad company. Learn to do that first. And start to move in good company. Because why? When you're in good company, your mind will be simple, isn't it? Logic. Your mind will be elevated. When you're in bad company, what will happen? Your mind will go down. So stay away. In the early stages of your learning of spirituality, stay away or keep a distance. Sometimes it happens in your own family. So you really can't stay away. But what you do is kind of detach, keep a distance. Love them, forgive them. Otherwise, their bad doing is going to go into your energy. And you don't want that. You want to take it off. Like Lord Jesus said, if somebody does, you go to somebody's house and you want to teach them something and they don't want to learn, what should you do? They don't want to accept. Leave the house and even take the dust off your feet. You don't want to even want that energy on you. So if you can't leave the house, or you can't, if it's in your own house, you start to a little detach. Difficult. So what do? You start to build up your own independent practice. This is how you bring spirituality in. And then you start to use entrepreneurship. Start to think, what can I do to change my life? What can I do to help? What can I do? What are my talents? Am I good with my hands? Am I good with my words? Am I good with people? Am I not good with people? Am I good in an office? Am I good with computer work? Call a good friend. I'm really good with computer work. If your computer goes to break, I'm really the cheapest person you can find. Try me out. If you like me, you pay me more. You don't like my work, you pay me less. Is that a good deal? You start like that, and then you see, when you work with nature, nature works with you. And then the business increases by itself. Because if you're good, people will give, the people who help will give you a good tip. Haven't you seen it? Naturally, if you go to a restaurant, somebody treats you well, you like to give a good tip. They don't treat you well, what do you say? Not leaving a tip. Or they'll help you, they'll bring you a gift, or they'll do something else, right? Isn't it true? So this is where you use your entrepreneurship. and you start to inspire yourself. You research with joy, with energy. And how do you get that energy when your mind is feeling so depressed? Because it's going to pull you down. It's going to pull you down. Oh no, I can't stay positive. Don't you know? How can you be positive? We have no money. Da, 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 da. How can you say everything is okay? You know, that is a battle. Accept there will be a battle, but stick to your positive. How do you do it again? Be in positive company. Listen to music. Walk by the sea and be grateful. Be grateful. Be grateful for what you do have. At least have toast in the morning. Great. And if worse comes to worse, can't afford food, I can have one toast, lunch, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Not a bad deal. I can have a few bananas a day. If an apple, worst comes to worst, at least you have food. Do you know you have to inspire yourself to stay up? We have so much, we keep forgetting. So this is the time in the credit crunch to use entrepreneurship. Really think and choose something that you can share with others. Because work, when shared, multiply. That's why in all the old traditions, they talk about whatever you make, always give a little. Have you heard that? You know, ever since I was a child, my father always did that. Whatever he made, he didn't give a little, he gave a lot. And the more he gave, the more he got. The more he gave, the more he got. It was quite something. And you know, now my students, some of them I've known them for 15, 20 years, the more they have learned to be fearless about giving. You know, giving up their time, giving up this energy. Look at this young lady here, she's an example. I mean, you know, she in the early days will never even buy anything for anyone, and now she's another Gibananda, gives everything. And the more she gives, I don't know how she does it, she doesn't even have a full-time job. She always gets money, and it's really, I say she has an incredible God that looks after her. You know, just a couple of years back, they really needed a car. You know, God bless her father-in-law. Such a kind man. He passed away. He has other children. They left the car to her. All his brothers and sisters. Oh, because she's so nice and so kind. We all have our cars. You don't have a car. You can have the car. So she gets a car that she's been wanting for a long time. How does it happen? And because she's been so good all these years to her brother-in-law, and this is from her father-in-law, it's not even from her dad. She would have never expected it. But they all, because they all love her, because, you know, they shout at her, she return with love. She forgives them, return with love. So what is the result of that? She didn't expect anything. She just did the teaching. So of course, even I got surprised. You got the car? It's so interesting. How does it work, you know? And this is, I've watched, and with other students, you know, whenever they want to travel after years of no fear, they give, you know, Lakshmi, another one in the south, you know, she gives, she shares, she does all the SIS website for us, never asks for money, never asks for something. And in the summer she gets wealthy clients, you know, for yoga, and they don't mind paying her. They find out, oh, she wants to go to this place, whatever. Oh, you're such a good person, you help this person free, you help this free, you help this free. We want to pay for your trip. Isn't that cool? She didn't even ask. She didn't even ask. And the same happens to me all the time. So, you know, in the end, it doesn't matter. If it comes, it doesn't come. Don't be afraid. You see, it's fear that stops the flow. In the Bhagavad Gita, you know, our Hindu text, what stops your flow to connecting to God? They tell you, we call it God or divine consciousness, whatever you want to call it, Jesus, Moses, I'm really not bothered, it's only words. For me, it's dynamic love, unconditional love. This is my God, you know, forgiveness, joy, peace, you know. If I don't forgive, I suffer. Why would I want to suffer for some fool? You know, don't waste my life for somebody who's foolish, who wants to hurt me. I'm not suffering for any fool. If I suffer because of my own consequences. Why should any fool make me suffer? And so the only way not to suffer is forgive the fool and get it out of my system. Because if I don't forgive, it will always be in my body. I don't want anger in my body. Do you want anger in your body? You know? And this fearlessness, the Bhagavad Gita tells us, fear, guilt, or worry stops our connection to the divine. It's there, such an old text, chapter 12, 5,000 years, 6,000 years old. But you see, man hasn't changed. We're the same. We haven't changed. So, fearlessness I see. And now I go back to the story of the other man that came to see me. He must have been, again, around the same age, 54, and getting older, made redundant, depressed for 6 months, lost the job, on a lot of antidepressants. It came, no energy. So he told me, oh, I lost my job 6 months ago. So I said, have you been looking? Oh, I tried 1 month. 1 month. And nothing came up. I said, you know, and now I have to use my savings. And I got so depressed. I can't sleep at night. I'm on antidepressant. What have I done? I've been a good person all my life. Why has God given this to me? Da-da, suffering. And I told him, it doesn't have to be like that. So I explained to him, everybody in their life goes through ups and downs. Sometimes some people lose a job. Sometimes people lose children. Sometimes people lose a partner. But everybody goes through ups and downs. I don't know anybody. Be brave, I said. Be brave. Look, you becoming depressed like this, what has happened to you? You've lost your confidence. I'm sure your wife is now, might be happy, is miserable. So now we've got 2 miserable people. And I'm sure your children also are really fearful and worried. And he goes, yes, how did you know? It's a common sense, which is not taught this, right? So I sat and talked to him, and then we took another 3 or 4 months to wean him out of his antidepressants, because you can't cut like that. And I said, you know, they're drugs that work with your mind. You see, getting depressed during a difficult process, business-wise or any-wise, is normal, because of course it's a loss. But don't keep in that depression. That is not normal. That is self-pity, that is fear, and that is anger, and blame. That is not normal. Being depressed initially is always normal. It's like a disappointment. Normal. Everybody goes through it. In the olden days, they just went through it. Nowadays, it's pills, but they're mind-altering drugs. Little while, short while, they do help people who are really down. I've seen it. Take it long term, they have no more energy. They lose their energy. They lose their strength. They lose the strength to make their own decisions. How scary is that? Because the drugs take over. So we had to work with him another 3 months to wean it out. Then Easter had to practice. I taught him meditation, positive thinking. Every time, go home, be good to your wife. If you're good to your wife, make her smile. If you are happy, the home is happy. If you are happy, money is attracted to happiness and joy and laughter. You know, wealth will come to you. And really, it took him long, but he did it. And you know, the odd thing is, when he did it for 1 month and nothing really happened, he didn't get a business opportunity, he told me, look, Nalanie, nothing's happening. I said, only 1 month. You've been 9 months depressed. You have to exactly balance it out. Exactly. But you know, within the 3rd month, already he started to get interviews, etc., etc. And if you look at entrepreneurship or business people, would you ever hire a person who is depressed? Would you, if I was a boss and somebody came into my business with a long face? I don't want you in my business, I'll lose money. Would I want them there? And even if they pretend to smile, we feel the energy. And sometimes we say, I went into that interview and I was smiling, I did all the right things. And I said, but you went with this energy. Energy is very deep. People can sense it. When you're strong, you know, children sense it immediately. When you're strong, they sense it. When you're weak, they sense it too, and that's when they manipulate you. You stay strong, they cannot. They cannot manipulate you. And if they do, you say, go away, till you learn. Because you're strong, you're not frightened of losing them or losing anything. And anyway, in the end, you lose everything. So what is it to fear? What is there to fear? And that's the question you have to ask yourself in spirituality, with business, you know. What is there to fear? And if you make a mistake, what's the big deal? Better to make a mistake than do nothing at all, isn't it? So this man finally, you know, got the interview, got the job, and he came back to me like 2 or 3 months later, and he said, why did I waste so much time being miserable? I said, because maybe you had to learn how to be happy. You never knew it. And this depression, you were so, if you hadn't been so depressed, you wouldn't have come and find a new way of being, a new way of thinking. It's because you got so depressed. So really, if you look at it, it was a gift from the gods. You couldn't continue in the old way, and there was something new waiting for you. And anyway, you got stuck in the old job. The guy did you a favor by throwing you out. Now you have a new beginning. And the new job was so much more exciting, so much more creative. Okay, it didn't pay him what the old job paid, but who cares? At least you're happy. You wake up in the morning, I'm excited to go to work. Better to make little and be happy than to make a lot and be unhappy. What is the point of making a lot and asking for so much if you end up grumbling all day, you can't enjoy your life, you're a miser? What is the point? You tell me. And how beautiful it is, you know, if what little you have, you share it with someone. Isn't it a lovely feeling? It's a lovely feeling. But when you have little, and you start thinking, no, I have little, I can't share it. Look at the body. It's fearful. No, you're fearful. No, you're a miser. Okay, I have a little. I have one piece of cake. Oh, how lucky I have one piece of cake. I can cut it in 4 pieces and share it. Wow, 4 people can enjoy. I can give 4 people a gift from one thing. You make 4 people happy. You're not fearful. And in the end, when you see people smile, it's the best medicine. It's the best medicine in the world. It's such a nice medicine. Why? Because when you look at them smile, you're getting the benefit of their smile. Aren't you? It's a lovely feeling when somebody smiles at you. When you've got somebody long face all day long, it's mine, it's mine. Yeah, there's going to be less. And haven't you noticed when you worry about money, it goes very quickly.
Yes.
It really goes really fast. You get one bill after another bill after another bill. Oh, when you don't worry about it. And I was telling this, you know, Shakti, remember this young girl, Nadia?
Yes.
You know, she was telling me this story. She said, you know, she's a lovely girl, young, must be, how old is Nadia, 28 or something
like
30?
that, yeah.
And she's come into yoga the last year, you know. And so she said she loves to be generous. And before she was frightened to be generous. She doesn't make a big wage, just a normal wage. And she had 10 euros in her pocket. And she was going with that 10 euros to buy a blouse that she had seen, that she had liked down the road. So that was her treat for the month. So anyway, she walks down the street and she sees this poor woman on the floor begging. And she feels, oh my God, you know, she needs it more than me. So she gives 2 euros to this person. And then she says, you know what, I'm happy. And her friend's with her. You're not going to be able to buy the blouse now. You know, you have no money. Why are you giving it away? She goes, I can't help it. I can't. My heart is telling. She was listening to her heart. My heart is telling me I have to give it. I have to give it. So they walk down the street a little further. She sees another person basking in the street. No money in the thing. Credit crunch. Nobody's getting money. At least I have everything. She gives another 2 euros. Anyway, her friend thinks she's mad. She goes to the shop. And the blouse that she saw, she sees it there. She looks at it, can't afford it anymore, right? She only has 6 euros. The lady of the shop suddenly turns around to her. Oh, you know that shop, that blouse you like for 10 euros? It's on sale. It's now 6 euros. And she told me this at the retreat now, and she goes, Nalanie, I really then say, yes, you're right, when I'm not fearful, and when I give with love. I was a little sad when I got to the shop, thinking, oh, I really wanted this, but you know how you think, maybe did I do the right thing? But then, right away, that was taken away from her, right away, because it was given with so much love, you see? It wasn't given with, it was like following her heart. I have to give, I really have to give. This person needs it more than me. She was not fearful. And that's just a little story that she told me. But like that in my life, and it's just recent so I remember it, and like that in my life, I see it all the time with businesses, with people. The more they fear, the business goes down. Even at the yoga classes with yoga teachers that I have trained, the teachers that attract the most people are not the teachers with the most knowledge, are the teachers with the most joy and the most love. The one with the most knowledge may start very good in the beginning, but afterwards, you see all the students go. We have seen it many times, right? But those with knowledge and love and dedication, who are not interested to please anyone, but to give the best they can, those elevate. The selfish one, I want to be a good teacher, I want to appear this, all the ego. They can be famous for a little time, but what is fame? When you die, you leave it behind. But I see their minds are always no peace, because they're always worried about losing their students. Do you know they're always worried about losing their students? And I go to them, but they aren't yours anyway. What belonged to you? Yeah, recently, so two yoga teachers, good friends, arguing. Why? Because one went on a holiday and she told her best friend, who's a yoga teacher, look at this. This is in spirituality. It's ridiculous. I never saw anything so childish. Tells her best friend, they haven't learned anything about the spiritual entrepreneurship. They both charge for their classes, right? That's their choice, whatever they want. Good, that's the way. Serving others, making money, no problem with it. So, one friend goes on holiday, can you look after my class for a month? So it's her best friend, right? So she's so happy to help her. So she goes, gives the class to the best of her ability, because it's her friend's class. Of course, her friend comes back after a month. Many of her students prefer the other one. It's not her fault. She goes away and continues on her own classes. It's the other friend's students come to her class. And she's shaking. And she feels bad. But they say, look, we like your class. We feel better in your class. We pay 10 euros here and 10 euros there. We prefer to go to the one we want, like best, right? Is it her fault? No. So her best friend starts screaming, swearing, you've taken all my students away from me. She came to me crying. And Nalanie, my best friend screaming, swearing, screaming, and I scream back and I feel horrible now. I don't know what to do. Do I stop teaching? What a lot of childishness and babiness. Ridiculous. Is it your fault that the students came to you? Tell her she needs to teach her classes better if she wants to keep her students. And by the way, do they belong to you or her? They're human beings. They have a right to choose for themselves. You are arguing about what they should think when you have no right to do that. Your duty is to give a class. And if she loses the students, it's because it probably sense her jealousy and they don't sense yours. But if you start behaving like her, you will lose them to somebody else. Isn't it true? It's just a chain reaction. You will start to lose them too. Because if they feel anger, they don't want to go there to yoga to get anger. They want to go to yoga to get peace. So they feel this energy full of resentment. Who's going to gain anything? So she saw the truth and she goes, but I feel guilty. I said, but you didn't do anything wrong. She asked you to take the class. You have to be who you are. Don't feel guilty and now you want to give the class badly. That's really silly. So I said, well, you know who your real friends are. Don't be afraid. You just go back to her. Tell her you're sorry she's taken it so badly. You're never meant to take any business away from her. And the business is not worth the friendship. For 20 euros, you're not going to use a friendship. Would she rethink the friendship? Is far more important. So she did that, but the person didn't want to accept that. So I said, then you let it go. Just let it go. Just forget it. Forgive her and carry on. But it's so ridiculous. Do you see what I'm saying? And in business, you see a lot of this nastiness and jealousy within colleagues. And they say a family that prays together stays together. And I think a business team that works together and brings each other up, they stay together. They stay firm in bad times, in good times, And when everybody agrees to work together, when there's no jealousy, the business grows. When jealousy starts happening, it corrupts. It corrupts. It starts with the one on top, the manager, the team leader. If that person is corrupt, everything will be corrupt. And eventually everything will go. We have seen it with the banks and everything now. Corruption from the top down. But when the person on top, and the Bhagavad Gita says that too, if the person on top is caring, loving, loves his team like he loves his own children, and treats the business as a gift, rather than it should, you have to create these high figures and put everybody into stress mode, because they're so stressed they can't think anymore. And if they do it with love, I see it grows. It grows. And through bad times, your staff want to stick with you. They will be the ones to say, we'll take less pay, but want to stay with you. Want to stay with you because you care about us. You care. Like attracts like. And so in business, if you apply spirituality, it grows. If you have a clever mind and maybe the credit crunches come and hurt you, that's the gift the gods have given you. That's your spirit. Think of new endeavors. Think of new ways. Spend your time not feeling sad, but getting excited about what you could do new in your life. Like the first person who saw me. Wow, Nalanie, I'm so excited about getting redundant. Whoa! Because now I can work in my own time and I can do my charity. Of course, the money is not like what he used to get before with a big corporation, but his joy is 100 times more. And this man has continued to be joyful. He'll never be super rich, but he'll always be happy. Now you have to ask yourself, anyway, if you're super rich, you leave it all behind for your family to argue over. Haven't we been so many countries where we've seen this?
Yes,
Did we hear so many stories?
Yeah.
So many stories. This summer, did we hear of people with the father and mother, one parent is dead and the father's still living, and already the children are arguing over the money. And the poor father's suffering, hearing all this argument, all the years of making the money, and all his family is falling apart because of the money. What is the point? Everything. It makes me so sad to see it. And I see it all the time, everywhere we go. And she said to me, because this time, she was present when a few people were talking to me, wow, Nalanie, people really argue so much about money. I said, yes, and your husband didn't when his father died, and you got everything. See how it works? You didn't ask for anything. You just wanted to love them and look after them and care for them. That's all you wanted to do, and the gods rewarded you. And I have seen this, and I ask you, if you're going through a difficult time, or you know anybody who is suffering and going through a difficult time, try to tell them to be creative. My master used to say, he and art makes heart. Mm-hmm. He meaning the great energy called creativity, using the art in you. It makes a big heart. And when the heart is open, and the Easterners we all say, Eastern philosophy, God lives in the heart. The Lord of love, no larger than a thumb, lives in the hearts of all. So if you can create, one, you distract the mind. For those who paint with so much love. I see many artists suffering today, but they put such high prices on their painting. Cover your costs, they say, better than not making anything at all. Difficult times, cover your costs, make 20%. Cover your costs, make 30%. Whatever you can. But don't aim so high, ego. My master used to say, you heard that? I said that in, you see, the truth is the same. My master used to say, ego, 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 ego. He was a very funny man. He was I saw me such a tremendous, so funny. And, we all used to laugh, And so this is how we work with entrepreneurship and spirituality. Creativity is one, fearlessness is another. Looking out for totally different things that you never thought you would do before. Not being afraid of new things, new challenges, new beginnings. Maybe you've done this for so many years. Maybe sometimes it's time for a change. Maybe sometimes you have to go back to study. You don't know. Many people have said they'll never do counseling, they'll never do this, and they start with business and they end up counselors. I remember there was an Indian chap who used to come from a very wealthy family, and in Gibraltar this was, and he had to run a shop. And he hated it. That's what his father left him and his brother. So they had two shops, so each one ran a shop. He hated running a shop. He was not a retail man. So what happened to him? He became an alcoholic. He got an addiction. Because when you're not happy, you start to look for happiness outside, don't you? So he went to alcohol. Wasn't enough, went to drugs. So the business kept on going down, but of course he had a big inheritance, so the savings started to go. So he got married, then lost his wife. She left him because of the alcoholism. So one day he came to see me, so bad. Lost his wife, almost about to lose his shop, which was worth a lot, And I told him, I said, you hate your job. So one of the reasons why you're alcoholic is you hate what you're doing. Make a change. I can't, you Indian tradition, you have to continue. Who told you that? I said, you who are fearful. Do you think you're capable of something else? Before you lose all your money, think. He goes, maybe I could be a counselor for alcoholics. I said, you'd be the best teacher, you know how it feels. And he got a little, there was a glint in his eyes. Anyway, he saw me 3 or 4 weeks. The idea grew, the idea grew, the idea grew. Then he came and he says, I'm going to sell the shop. All my family's really angry with me. I said, take the anger. They'll be angry for a little while. It's your shop. It's your inheritance. You can do what you like. But if you don't, I said, look at your choices. You hate it, you end up in alcohol. So you have to do something you love, first and foremost. Because you have to replace that negative with something positive before the alcohol will leave you. You go for AA, you stop for 3 months, but because you go back to the cause, which you don't like, after 3 months you start drinking again and drugs again. So we have to look at the cause. The cause is you hate getting up to go to work every morning. Fix that. So finally he had the courage. He sold the business, got a lump sum, and he went away to went back to university. He had already lost his wife and 2 kids. She left him. So he must be about 37, 38 at that time. He's older now. Took the course, then he went for his master's because he had the little money in the bank from the shop he sold. And today he works at a rehab site and he's happy. He works at a rehab site. He's one of the top managers there. Happy. Do you see? But if you look at the perfect plan, everything was as it should be. But if he had stayed stuck in that shop, he would have never had the joy he's having today and helping so many with it. His calling was there. But sometimes we're very fearful of letting go of the old because we're so used to it. It's comfort zones. You have to let go. It's really scary. I guarantee you it's the worst thing in the world. It's really scary. Be brave is the next thing. If you want to be successful, you have to be brave. So these are just a few pointers how you use your spirituality in your work life. We all need money to live. Money is only an energy. It's neither good, it's neither bad. It's great. If you have it, you can use it and share it. You don't have it, you suffer a little. But having enough is the best. Gandhi used to say, if you have a lot of money, you think about it all the time. If you have very little money, you think about it all the time. But if you're just in the middle, you're happy. So I think middle place is nice. So of course you have to make a living. I think everybody should make a living. But you have to watch the ego. Oh, I worked in I was director here. Okay, so tomorrow you can't be a director. I used to be a daughter of a very wealthy person, and when I moved to Gibraltar and married my husband, I became a shopkeeper, and I was very proud. You know what I used to tell my husband? I have to sell slippers for $3.95 and put slippers on people's feet. It taught me humility. Because I was too proud to go to my dad and say my husband wasn't making a lot of money. Because I didn't want, my mother always taught me, you have problems with your husband, don't tell me. Because you will forgive him, and then I will end up angry. Isn't it true? Don't interfere. So I never told her I probably never told my dad, because I stayed in my head what she taught me. And I knew that I loved my husband no matter what. This was my learning, because I watched my father through his bad times. So that was my training. So his training actually stayed in my cells. So when I went through a really bad time, but then poor husband, I complained to him, why did I marry you? Da, da, da. So I have to do all this stuff until yoga came along. I was so angry, poor me syndrome, and I have to work like a maid. I had 5 maids in Hong Kong, and I didn't have to worry. I scrub and clean. But then when yoga came along, I realized it's all training me to be who I am today, training me to understand suffering, training me in humility, training me that scrubbing a floor, no big deal, doing a window or selling $3.95, no big deal, no big deal. And it really trained me. And I wouldn't be who I am today without that training. And I thank my husband so much for he's gone from this world now, for bearing up with my nastiness all those 10 years before I learned yoga. I think I was a horrible person to be with. And I really want to thank him for bearing up with me those years, And after that, I grew up. Hardship made me grow up. Humility made me grow up. And now I realize how blessed all the training was. So when you go through your bad times in life, think it's training. It's training me for something great. I'm just doing the training. You train, it's never easy. People who work in gyms, go for marathons. I know so many people go for marathons, and they train, and they really tell me it's hard work to train. Every day they're running, building up 1 kilometer, building 1 kilometer. Their legs ache, everything aches, they're falling apart, but they keep going. They keep going, and then they do the 25 kilometers, and they come back and they say, we did it. After 3 months of practicing, we got there. Training does hurt. During the painful times, accept. When you accept, it's much easier. Give in to it. Accept that it's making you stronger and better for good times to come. You'll be a better boss because you understand other people's pain and losses. It'll make you more compassionate. It'll make you more loving because you're more real. And your staff will love you, and people who work with you will love you because they know that you know how they feel. And they'll appreciate that more than anything in the world. But if you become bitter and hard and mean, I deserve the best, you working for me, I'm sorry, that's not spirit. Where is the spirit in that? And you will lose them. Somebody offers them a little bit more, they will go right away. There will be no loyalty, zero. And you will be the loser. And that's what I've seen with entrepreneurs. We went to this house that family. In fact, you bought the mattresses for them, didn't you?
Yes.
We went there just to get the education for these children. We went to this person's house. There was one hard bed that was for the parents. It was also doubled up as a dining table. It was also doubled as a work table. And they had one tiny kitchen, and they had 2 children. And the children slept on the floor. They had nowhere to sleep in. And sometimes they would let them sleep on the hard bed, no mattress. It's like sleeping on the floor. So, you know, when the child, did he cry or something?
He cried and thanked us for buying them a mattress.
Yes, then she went with Swami Lalitananda because we were busy with other things. She bought them the mattresses and they cried, thanking us for.
And the mother was
the
crying in the
mattresses.
kitchen because a few days before the child said, "Mum, when am I going to have a mattress to sleep? My back is aching."
That's
And then we came with a mattress.
Yeah.
And shoes for school because they didn't have any shoes either.
That's right. You see, I forget. There's so many cases. Thank you for reminding me. And you know, it was so nice to just be. We'd be so excited to go and get things right away. Let's get it right away. We get so happy.
Pillows.
You know, and money comes, doesn't it? You know, the other day, I'll tell you, it's so interesting. You know, we've given thousands away the last few weeks, and to different things. I was seeing Caritas in La Línea, which is in Spain. Through her husband, he had found out through a staff in a golf restaurant that they needed help. So he went down there, and I went to see this young girl, and she said the government had stopped giving them any subsidies. And they had 12 homeless people in their home. You know, they rotated till they find jobs, etc. But they were feeding over 87 people without jobs every day. Now, no more subsidies. So I said, how do you live? She said, I don't take a penny anymore. My boyfriend works. So apparently he looks after her. And I said, why do you do it? She said, from the love of my heart. Young girl. How old was she? 27? I couldn't believe it. From the love of her heart. Anyway, we gave her 1,000 euros there. And she said, we have just enough to manage till November. And after that, I don't know what to do, Nalanie. You know, no, we're not getting too much support. So I said, okay, take that. So next day she writes to me, I really need help. I'm really frightened. Even the normal donors are not coming. You know, and I thought, dear God, what can I do? What can I do? I said, don't worry. I'll call one of my students who's a lawyer because I travel so much. You need somebody there. And she wants to do something good. So I called Amber and I go, Amber, I need your help. You live near this area. Will you go and handle this project for me? So Amber goes there, and she said she'll help her raise funds, and she'll think of something to raise funds. So what happens is this girl writes me back the next day, and I'm just about to give a class, right? And she writes me, please, Nalanie, I saw Amber, and getting the funds is going to take time. When am I going to have the time? You know, we're running out of time. I'm desperate. Am I going to feed these people? Am I going to, please, 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 I know you're going to help me. So I do my hands like that, and I go, do not fear. I write her back, do not fear. I'm just about to go to the class. Then I have an inauguration. Then I have to go to Portugal, all in a few days. So just give me, when I come back, I'll see what I can do. But don't lose faith. Let me think of something. And then suddenly, Shanti comes to me, just before I'm about to talk. Said, this student of yours has given you this envelope. She really would like you to give it to the, you know, special needs department. But she said, do with it what you want. But she really would like it for special needs. So I said, oh, thank you, I'll go and thank her. Because this student always likes to remain anonymous. I opened the envelope, I got 5,000 euros.
Oh.
5,000 euros. Thank you, God. So, not to rush things, I wrote to this girl, Begonia, who looks after these people, and I said, you get 1,000 tomorrow, because I wanted to ask permission. I didn't. I went to the donor and I said, I gave your 1,000 away, and it's not to special needs, it's to homeless. And she laughed. She said, you can't keep money in your hands, can you? Dangerous. But I said, I'll come back and discuss the rest. Anyway, I didn't want her to give her the 5,000 too soon, because I want to go and see that, you know, if you give people too much too soon also, than they expect all the time. Yeah. So I thought, just give her the 1,000 to see how many people she can feed in the next 2 weeks while I'm away. And then doesn't work for long term. We have to find a solution on how we can help them. Maybe go to soup kitchens, maybe go to hotels, which is where the lawyer is going to help me. I gave her a few ideas, but I didn't have time before I came. So we can go to hotels, we can go to supermarkets, best before dates, maybe one day before, they can give us stuff. We know they last much longer than that anyway. It's just a gimmick for people to buy more. So we thought we could do all that, but to do that I needed more time. So when we go back, we hope to do that. But it's just amazing how the money comes. And the week before, we just sent 2,000 to Romania because they really needed firewood and they needed clothing and bedding. They don't have bedding. There's this woman who has a Down syndrome, and out of the goodness of her heart, whatever subsidy she gets from the government, because she looks after 10 other children. So she has no more money to look after the other children. Their parents don't have money, because in Romania, special needs is a disease. They don't think they should be attended to. They still believe that the mothers are cursed like in India and they should be put away. So this woman is struggling with her own child, but what does she? Turn it around and takes 10 other children and helps them with whatever little she gets. And I met Elizabeth, is her name. I met her. Such a happy woman. Such a happy woman. She showed me her cooker while I was there, and we had taken the money to her, and it wasn't a lot, it was 1,000 euros. Then she showed me the cooker, and I thought, we have to, I have to buy her a new cooker. And the guy goes, yeah, when you go back, maybe you can send me more money, the priest who brought me there. And I go, no, I have my credit card, I'll buy it right now. Exactly, I have a cooker at home. What is 200 or 300 euros in the big scheme of things? No big deal. For me, it's no big deal. Even if I had 300 in the bank, it's no big deal. How many people can it serve? So I said, I'm going now. She said, what? I said, come. You have helpers with the children. Some people volunteer there. And like you did with the mattresses, we went to the shop. It was pouring with rain. And I chose the oven. I said, you like the shit that's a little bit more expensive than the one. I said, it doesn't matter. It's going to last you longer, So we bought it. Do you know how good that made me feel? It wasn't from anybody. It was for me. Do you know? I felt so happy. But then when I went back, they insisted to refund me. And that very day, somebody gave me the exact money for the cooker. So you see how it works. Even if I wanted to give it, I wasn't allowed. Do you know? I was really so happy. But I said, it made me so happy. It made me so happy to see the new cooker go in. Within half an hour, we bought it and put it there. Do you know what a nice feeling it is? It's so joyful. And then you think, you come back to, and then people are complaining, I need a new TV set. And I go, I just don't believe this, Or like you said, thanks for bringing that up. We are so blessed. And this creates a really good energy now. That spirit. The Buddha say, make your practice every day. And I believe this is my practice. The moment you get up, I'm so blessed. Thank you. Thank you, universe. Just get up. My father did it every morning. The moment he got up, I watched this all my life. First thing, every morning, sat on, he has a picture of his mother on the wall, and then Guru Nanak, which is his guru, and then Swami Satchidananda. But his mother was his best. He always says his mother was the best guru. And so he does this to all 3 pictures and smiles every morning. Now that is the best prayer. What's the point of praying and never smiling? Do you see what I mean? To me, I go to church every day only to complain, Oh God, what a bad an example of God. Who wants that kind of God anyway? What is God? If we as parents want to see our children happy, don't you think the gods would want to see us happy? All this nonsense about being punished, how ridiculous is that? It's so ridiculous. It's common sense. We as parents don't want to punish our children. You're horrible. You're this. You're that. And if you do, you never feel good as a parent. You correct them, but you don't want to see them in pain unnecessarily. Your children suffer, you suffer. So you don't think the energy that gave its life to us and separated itself will want the best for us? It's all this mind stuff and brainwashing that we are not good enough, that we're going to hell. I don't ever believe there's a hell. I believe hell and heaven are here. And I am so determined to make every hell turn into a heaven. Aren't you? Do it. Just behave it. And like I said in Agav, now we need to spread a virus, a new virus. The virus of the Spirit is the virus of joy and laughter and love and kindness and goodness and generosity and compassion. All those things that make us sing. Anger, lust, greed, none of them make you sing. None of them make you sing. But the other does. So why not sing? Sing every day. Master Shivananda, said this song. I love his song. Master Shivananda is the master of my master. And he says, serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize, be good, do good, be kind and be compassionate, adapt, adjust, accommodate, bear insult, bear injury, highest sadhana. Do it now, do it now, do it now. That's what he says. Do it now.